Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to Fort Lee High School for today's softball matchup. Cliffside Park coming calling, 6-12 on the season, 2-4 in the Big North American Division, taking on arch rival Fort Lee, 6-8 on the season, and 3-3 in league play. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by Dimitri Nanis. So glad you could join us for another edition of Fort Lee Bridgman Athletics here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Second meeting of the season between these two sides, as both teams had already met earlier this season. Fort Lee coming away with a victory on the road at Cliffside Park back on April 19th, an 11-7 victory. Bridgman come in trying to snap a two-game losing streak after dropping back-to-back games against Tenafly and Pascack Hills. They are 2-3 so far this season under Coach Bill Straub here at home and are trying to pick up another win in divisional play. In the Big North American Division, Ridgefield Park sits atop the standings, perfect 5-0 in league action. Dumont 4-1, Fort Lee 3-3, Cliffside Park 2-4, and Dwight Morrow winless 0-6 on the season. Last time that we saw Fort Lee in action, they thumped Dwight Morrow 18-0 last Monday, May 1st, as they once again put up 18 runs in a win against the Maroon Raiders. Since that point, Fort Lee went on the road, defeated Elmwood Park 4-1, but as I mentioned, back-to-back losses against Tenafly here at home Wednesday, May 3rd, and then on the road at Pascack Hills. So the Bridgmen trying to bounce back and pull back to within one game of 500 on the season, as they are currently 6-8 overall. For Cliffside Park, Red Raiders come in off a 4-2 victory over Teaneck on Saturday. They lost at home against Fort Lee 11-7 back on April 19th. And last season, in this matchup here at Fort Lee, the Red Raiders lost in a high-scoring game, losing 17-16. Two teams split their meetings last season, with Cliffside Park winning 13-3 at home on May 11th. They are led by head coach Danielle Sabelli and are trying to finish off their regular season strong. 6-12 on the season are the Red Raiders. After this one here today, they'll go back home to take on Ridgefield Park. Then they'll travel to Riverdale, host Fairlawn before traveling to Ridgefield. So a tough ending to this season, but Cliffside Park would love to be able to split this series with their arch rivals. Ridgefield Park will be in their road dark uniforms, kind of a dark gray with a pinstripe look with the red, while Fort Lee is going to be in their home uniforms here with the orange tops, black pants, as Jenna Yang will be getting ready, towing the rubber inside the circle, as now we have both umpires are here and about to get underway this afternoon. Cliffside Park, their lineup: Victoria Spada is going to lead off, play center field. Irene Raftopoulos is going to be the designated player, hit second. Mattingly Rodriguez is going to be playing third and hitting third. Ashley Bustamante, the shortstop, will be hitting fourth. Veronica Correa will be doing the catching and hitting fifth. Amelia Moreno will be playing first base and hitting sixth. Genevieve Diaz will be the pitcher and hitting seventh. And Ayeli Aguilar will be hitting eighth and playing in left field. And Charlene Cepeda will be hitting ninth and playing in right field. So we are about to get underway here. The first batter of the game is, again, Jenna Yang is going to be contending with Victoria Espada. Espada, the senior, went 1 for 4 with an RBI against Fort Lee back on April 19th. She's going to be hitting from the right side of the plate. Espada was hitless in the last game for Cliffside Park, going 0 for 4 against Teaneck on May 6th. Beautiful day here, 76 degrees at opening pitch. Finally getting everything set up. Coach is going where they normally are supposed to be, and now we're going to have Jenna Yang, the freshman, trying to contend with Espada, the senior. And the first pitch of the game is for a strike on the outer edge of the plate. 0-1 the count against Espada. Second pitch, though, missed low to the outside, 1-1 the count. Jenna Yang has been awfully impressive in her debut season here at the Varsity. We've seen so many young players, so many of this freshman class being thrust into big-time roles for Coach Straub's varsity team. We're going to hope that that's going to pay off down the line in varsity experience, but Yang hurling that one outside the zone as Espada is trying to work her way onto base, on base for the first time here in this top of the scoreless first inning. Taking all the way, Espada will take that for a second strike, loading the count now full at 3-2. 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike three. And Espada is retired for the first out of the game, one away for Jenna Yang. As now that'll bring up Irene Raftopoulos. Junior is the designated player here today, went 1 for 4 against Fort Lee in the first meeting. She also served as the pitcher in that game. Against Teaneck, she picked up the win, going complete game, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs allowed, 6 strikeouts, 8 walks in the win. She also went 2 for 3 at the plate with a walk. Is that going to be a strike?
Who is that? That Balbuena?
Yang missing just to the outside with the ball. One out, nobody on here, scoreless in the top of the first inning. That one is a rip shot. That's going to go into left field for a base hit. So Raftopoulos gets the first hit of the game for the Red Raiders of Cliffside Park. They've got a runner on with 1 out. And bringing up now one of their best hitters in Mattingly Rodriguez. Rodriguez, a junior, went 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles and 2 runs scored in the first meeting against Fort Lee. So Yang knows that she has to pitch very carefully here against this third place hitter. Missing to the outside edge. 1-1 the count against Rodriguez. Rodriguez went 1 for 2 with 2 walks drawn over the weekend against Teaneck. Tries to send it out the other way, down the left field line. And that will be a fair ball. That'll roll to the rocks and be a ground rule double, so it's going to be a 1-out double there for Mattingly Rodriguez. Picking up where she left off in the last meeting back on April 19th. So Cliffside Park now with runners at second and third and only 1 out after back-to-back hits against Jenna Yang. That'll bring up Ashley Bustamante. She clips that one, handled by Schulman. That'll allow 1 run to score on the ground out. There's now 2 outs in the inning and a runner moved down to third base. So an RBI ground out there by Ashley Bustamante has given her team the lead at 1-0. As that one's taken in the dirt, good job there by Castillo of blocking in front of home plate. Brings up Veronica Correa, the catcher. Again, Castillo getting low to make that stop. Yang missing low again. That one is fouled off. Fort Lee defense, Eno in left, Papa Vasilio in center, Zulis in right, Schulman down at third, West at shortstop, Plout at second, Hausman at first, Castillo doing the catching for Jenna Yang pitching. Nice pitch there that broke late and to the outer edge of the plate. Good enough for a strike. Round ball down to Schulman at third. Ranges over, throws across the diamond, and they're going to say that it was not in time, and that's a big play and a big call because that's going to score another run for Cliffside Park. That was more of a looping throw from third base rather than a hard direct line throw, and beating it out was Correa for the infield single. That's going to be an RBI single at that. 2-0 lead now for Cliffside Park here in the top of the first inning. Runner down at first now with 2 away. Third hit of the inning for the visitors. Amelia Moreno, the first baseman, stepping in. Moreno got a piece of that one as it went to the backstop. Moreno went 3 for 4 with a triple and 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored in that first meeting of the season back on April 19th. She pops this one up to center field. Papa Vasilio comes over to make the play in right center field for the third and final out. But Cliffside Park strike for the first 2 runs of the game. 2 runs on 3 hits. We head to the bottom of the first inning, with Cliffside Park leading Fort Lee by a score of 2-0. As Fort Lee gets ready to bat for the first time here today, let's meet the starting lineup for the Bridgmen. Leading off and playing shortstop is Jamie West. Hitting second and doing the pitching is Jenna Yang. Hitting third and playing first base, Olivia Hausman. Hitting fourth and doing the catching is Avalie Castillo. Hitting fifth and playing third base is Emma Schulman. Hitting sixth and playing second base is Bella Plout. Hitting seventh and playing in right field, Taylor Soholis. Hitting eighth and playing in center field, Ariana Papavassiliou. And hitting ninth and playing in left field is Paige Inu. As Fort Lee's going to be trying their best against Genevieve Diaz. First pitch, 1 out after West lines out to center field. Diaz picked up the loss in that first meeting of the season between Cliffside Park and Fort Lee. She went 4 innings of work, allowed 4 hits, 5 runs, only 2 of which were earned, 5 strikeouts and 3 losses. And 3 walks, in the loss for the freshman pitcher. As Diaz now contending with her counterpart inside the pitching circle, Jenna Yang. In addition to being solid as a pitcher this season, Jenna has also shown some life in her bat. One and two count against her. Trying to chase after that pitch. Got away from the catcher. Yang is going to go down to first base and reach there safely. And make it all the way down to second base as Cliffside Park continues to throw it around the diamond. So that was a swing and a miss strikeout. But because the catcher did not hold on to it, she had to complete the strikeout down to first base. She tried to throw it down to first base, but actually clipped into the back of the backstop. And when it caromed around, Jenna Yang saw that there was an opportunity to be had, and she just took that extra base down to second. So officially it's going to be ruled as a strikeout, but again, new life on the base paths after a couple of misplays by the Cliffside Park defense. So one away with a runner down at second. Brings up Olivia Hausman, the first baseman. Taking low inside for a ball, 1-0. Olivia Jr. pops that one up. Will find its way out of play behind the home team dugout side. Down that third base end. I have to say, these are sharp uniforms for Cliffside Park. Dimitri and myself were commenting on that before the beginning of this game. The black pinstripe. Black uniforms with a white pinstripe. Got the old Al Capone type feel to it. Nice little 1920s gangster outfit. As now that hits the outside edge against Hausman. Jenna Yang is standing down at second base. Full count, 3-2 count against the first baseman for the Bridgeman. Hausman again jettisons this one up straight up in the air, ranging back to make that play in center field is Espada. Tagging from second, making it down to third base easily is Jenna Yang. Runner at third, but now 2 outs in the inning, both outs coming flyouts to center field. That'll bring up Avalie Castillo, the catcher for the Bridgeman. Castillo was sophomore, part of this youth movement. So many underclassmen playing such key roles on this team. Portly trying to get a run back here in the bottom of the first inning. Castillo takes that belt high for a strike. Diaz trying to strand that runner down at third base and keep this a 2-run margin for her team heading to the second inning. As Castillo got just a little behind that one, found it straight back. Castillo will nub that one. Could be a tricky play here. The throw down to first. Not in time. It's thrown away. That's going to score a run. Castillo on her horse makes the turn past second base. And it looks like the umpire is going to bring her back to second base. One bag awarded after the error. So Castillo just with a little piece of a flick of the wrist. Had that come out in front of home plate. The catcher could not make the play, so it was up to the pitcher, Diaz, to try to field it. Even if she made the clean throw to first, I think Castillo would have beaten the throw. But when the throw got away, then that assured that Castillo would be safe. Yang would come around to score, and then Castillo would head down to second base herself. So E1 would be the call there. That brings up Emma Shulman, the third baseman for Fort Lee, with now Fort Lee back to within 1 at 2-1. Shulman trying to ground that one to the third base side. Handled by the Fort Lee head coach, Bill Straub. Bounce in the dirt. So after retiring essentially the first 2 hitters that she faced, because she actually struck out Jenna Yang, but then the strikeout was dropped. It's been trouble here for Diaz. It's going to be more trouble. That's going to be a blue pip to center field. That's going to score Castillo. And Fort Lee has played at home 2 runs here in the bottom of the first inning. The draw even 2-2 with Cliffside Park. That one had eyes as Emma Showman popped that one skyward, and it just did not travel that far, but over the head of the infield and in front of the outfield. Showman drives in a run. 2-2 your score. All this run production coming with 2 outs in the inning for Fort Lee. Brings up Bella Plout. Plout, the second baseman. Shulman standing down at first base now with 2 outs in the inning. Absolutely gorgeous day here in Bergen County for this one. As that's going to be a walk surrendered. Now Fort Lee trying to keep the good times rolling here in the bottom of the first inning. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. First walk given up by Genevieve Diaz. That pitch too high and outside the zone. 1-0 the count. It's Taylor Solis. Only 1 base hit so far in this inning for Fort Lee, but they've already plated home 2 runs. That pitch low. Not far enough away for Shulman to feel comfortable to range off of second base and try to advance down to third. Correa got a piece of it from her catcher position behind home plate. As now Cliffside Park will have their head coach, Danielle Sabelli, to come out and try to calm down her freshman pitcher. She's had a tough start to this one. Like I said, she got the leadoff hitter out with a fly ball in the first pitch seen. Struck out Janet Yang, but it could not be caught cleanly by our catcher, so Yang not only made it down to first, but advanced down to second because of a throwing error. She got another fly out to center field off the bat of Olivia Hausman. And then Ava Lee Castillo reached safely with a throwing error by the pitcher Diaz. That allowed the first Fort Lee run to score, and then the subsequent run was scored with Emma Shulman's bloop single. And another walk here will now load the bases full of Bridgman. Fort Lee with a prime opportunity to potentially take their first lead of the afternoon. Back-to-back walks, 4 straight hitters have reached base safely now for Fort Lee, as that's taken inside for a ball by Ariana Papavasiliou. Sophomore getting the start in center field today. Two and one the count. 1-1, the count. That's taken for a strike in the inside. Now 1-2, and a pathway potentially out of this inning for Genevieve Diaz in Cliffside Park. 1-2, Papavasiliou drives that one deep. That's going to take one bounce up and over the fencing. That's going to plate home 2 runs with the bases loaded. Papavasiliou drives in a pair with a 2-run double. And Fort Lee with 4 runs on the board here in the bottom of the first inning have taken their first lead at 4-2. That was a clean connection there by the center fielder, the sophomore Papavasiliou, driving that one close to us where we're stationed out in right field. That took one bounce off the turf, catapulted itself up and over the fencing, and it's a ground rule double. So runners at second and third, still with 2 outs, but 4 runs home. And Fort Lee has turned a 2-0 deficit now into a 4-2 advantage as Paige Eno will come up to bat here for the first time. Eno, the left fielder, will be the 9th different hitter for Fort Lee to appear here in the bottom of the first inning. Missed to the outside. 1-0. That double was the second hit of the inning for the Bridgemen. Swing and a miss as the bottom fell out of that pitch. Diaz trying to get out of the inning now by just giving up the 4 runs. 2 more runners in scoring position. Runners at second and third. Once again, just getting a sliver of it. This time Diaz does be able to collect it in front of her own mound and throw down to first for the third and final out. The damage has been done by Fort Lee. The bats have come alive, and the Bridgemen take the lead. A 4-run bottom of the first brings us to the top of the second. 4-2, Fort Lee on top of Cliffside Park as you're watching all the action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. First time Cliffside Park trails today as we head now to the top of the second inning. Red Raiders produced 2 runs on 3 hits in that first inning. Took a 2-0 lead to the bottom of the inning, but just gave up 4 runs of themselves. Genevieve Diaz, the opposing pitcher, stepping in for the first time, hitting in the 7th spot in the order. Diaz grounds that one, but foul to the left side of the third baseline. Diaz was hitless in 4 at-bats against Fort Lee back on April 19th. Scored a run against Teaneck on Saturday in their win. Swing and a miss. Yang with a beautiful delivery there. That's the first out procured of this start of the second inning. Second strikeout of the game for Yang. That'll bring up Anayeli Aguilar. Number 14, the sophomore, hitting from the right side. Aguilar went 1 for 3 with an RBI against Fort Lee back on April 19th. Was 1 for 4 with an RBI against Teaneck over the weekend. Yang's rise ball missing outside the zone in the upper left quadrant. That's going to be a ball. Yang struck out the first hitter that she faced to begin the first and then ran into a little trouble, giving up back-to-back hits. Eventually, 2 runs came across. Trying to hit that outside corner, but not able to do so. That's going to be a walk surrendered. First walk of the game given up by Jenna Yang. 1 out base runner here for Cliffside Park to begin inning number 2. Brings up the 9th place hitter, Charlene Cepeda, the right fielder. Cepeda takes outside as Yang is missing routinely to the outside. Cepeda, a sophomore, went 1 for 3 with an RBI against the Highwaymen of Teaneck High School. Again for Cliffside Park, that was proven to be a 4-2 victory over Teaneck on Saturday, picking up their 6th win of the season. Round ball underneath the glove of Schulman, and that'll go into left field for a base hit. So Cliffside Park will once again have runners at first and second with only one out here. So Beta produces the fourth hit of the game already for Cliffside Park as they bat with one out in the top of the second. Back to the top of the order it goes to Victoria Spada, the center fielder. Spada struck out swinging. Ball got away, and now the runners are hung up between second and third, and that's going to be a tag out. And that is a base running error for Cliffside Park. The runner, who was the trail runner, was standing on second base, so that led that lead runner get caught in between second and third. She had nowhere to go, couldn't retreat back to second base. So the tag is administered, second out of the inning. So Aguilar was trying to go and see if she could go backwards, but Cepeda kind of shut down any opportunities for her to retreat to the bag. Now a chance here for Yang to potentially get out of the inning. 2 outs, a runner down at second. Again, contending with Victoria Spada. 0 for 1 this afternoon. Yang gets the swing and a miss. Now 2 strikes against Espada. Yang with 2 strikeouts in this game for Fort Lee, trying to keep this a 4-2 ball game. Just missed the outer edge. That one is grounded back, fielded by the pitcher. Yang sets and fires over to Hausman, who holds it in for the third and final out of the inning. So after having runners at first and second with 1 out in the inning, Cliffside Park not able to cash in on that scoring opportunity with a base running error, and then also with that ground out at the end of the inning. So we head to the bottom of the second. It remains a 4-2 advantage for Fort Lee softball. Bottom of the second, 4-2 lead for Fort Lee in this rivalry showdown. 2 arch rivals colliding here for the second time in this regular season. Brings up Jamie West. West is 0 for 1, the leadoff hitter for the Bridgemen. Flew out to center field in the first pitch that she saw out of the hands of fellow freshman Genevieve Diaz. So these two are going to be locking horns for the next 4 years. As Diaz missed to the outside. West will take the walk and start things off on the right foot. Here for Fort Lee to begin the bottom of the second inning. First time that she has reached base safely here today for Fort Lee. Third walk of the game given up by Diaz. And now there's a meeting in the pitching circle. As Diaz has been struggling to try to find that location, find that accuracy on her pitches early on in this contest. I think Also want to decide what the game plan might be against Jenna Yang. Yang officially struck out in her first at bat, but because it was not caught, she was able to get on base and eventually came around to score. West is standing down at first base. She was daring the catcher to throw against her. Got back in first base safely. Jamie West, Jenna Yang. Just a couple of those freshmen that are going to be ones to watch for years to come for Fort Lee. Again, the sacrifice bunt attempt this time is missed and into a foul ball to the third base side. Ball got away from the catcher. West made the turn from around second. Now getting caught up in between second and third and elicits the throw that was offline but then was backed up quickly by the center fielder Espada. West is befuddling Cliffside Park while on the bases. She is dancing around and drawing some throws that are not being completed. She's down in scoring position now at second base. That's taken inside. That one is socked to center field on a line drive, but it got away from the center fielder. That's going to allow West to come around and score from second. And into second base is going to be Jenna Yang with an RBI double. That was a hot shot. That was going to be a difficult play to be made by the center fielder. If she made it, would have saved a run, but instead it got down and then got past her. Yang drives in the run as Jamie West comes around to score. And it's now a 5-2 advantage for Fort Lee as Olivia Hausman steps in. Hausman 0 for 1 this afternoon. Did she go around or did she check her swing? Looks like it's a 1-1 count against Hausman. That pitch missed high, now 2-1. Tight strike zone right now in the early goings. That pitch missed to the outer edge. Now 3-1 for Hausman, who flew out to center field back in the first. 5 runs on 3 hits in this one for Fort Lee. That pitch got behind Hausman. That'll be a walk. Second walk of the inning given up by Diaz. She has now walked 4 hitters and has not retired a hitter yet in the second inning. How much longer will Cliffside Park elect to stay with Diaz right now in the circle? In that first inning, betrayed a little bit by her defense. She didn't help her own cause out. Had that throwing error on a ground ball that could have gotten her out of the inning unscathed and unscored upon. Instead, threw it away from her first baseman. That allowed Fort Lee to get on the board. Fort Lee, with that new added life, then would cash in after back-to-back walks. A 2-run double by Ariana Papavasiliou gave her team a 4-2 advantage. They've added to that lead here in this inning. And now we'll have runners at the corners. And it looks like it's going to be a new pitcher in the game as well. So Diaz's day is done. Pitching change made by Cliffside Park. 5-2 advantage for Fort Lee as you're watching all the softball action here on YouTube. New pitcher in the game here for Cliffside Park is Irene Raftopoulos, the junior. As Genevieve Diaz does not record an out in the second inning and is relieved. Raftopoulos was the designated player in this game, so now switches in to come in as the pitcher. She pitched 3 innings of work against the Bridgman in the first meeting. 3 innings, 4 hits, gave up 6 runs, all of which were earned. 3 strikeouts, 7 walks. Wortley dropping down the bunt, expecting that bunt and making the play down at third base was Rodriguez. That secures the first out of the inning against Fort Lee, but now Fort Lee with runners at second and third with already 1 run scored here in this inning. Brings up Emma Shulman. Shulman had an RBI single in her first plate appearance back in the first inning. She's 1 for 1. 2 runners in scoring position now for the Bridgman, as Shulman takes that offering a little too high. That one got away from the catcher. Took a nice deflection, though, and Karam straight from the backstop. Not going to allow that lead runner to score and think about scoring from third. That pitch missed high and outside. Five unanswered runs in this game for Fort Lee. They're trying to tack on even more here as they bat in the bottom of the second. Off speed, the lower edge of the plate for a strike. A swing and a miss that time as Shulman was trying to go outside the strike zone. She will go instead to the dugout side, upset with the strikeout. Big strikeout there for Cliffside Park. Now there's 2 away with runners at second and third. Ground ball down to the shortstop, thrown across the diamond, and that's going to be deemed safe on the play. Did it drag the first baseman off the bag? There seems to be some discussion between the umpires. Hausman was just standing there, Bella Ploutz was just standing there. If she was deemed to be safe, that would score another run for Fort Lee. If it's deemed to be an out, that would end the inning and keep it just to 1 run in the inning. And it looks like the overturn of the call. The 2 umpires confer with one another, and the correct call was made. They say that the first baseman stepped and stayed on the bag, Moreno with fancy footwork, and that will end the inning. But another run on the board here for Fort Lee. They add to their lead. It's now a 5-2 advantage as we head to the top of the third. Five-2 advantage now for Jenna Yang's Fort Lee Bridgman, as she gets ready inside the circle to start her 3rd inning of work. Skipping that offering inside against Irene Raftopoulos, who is 1 for 1 in this game, had a single in her first at bat back in the first inning. Fires that one in for a strike, make it 1-1 the count. Raftopoulos and Rodriguez combined for back-to-back hits. 2 of the first 3 hits for Cliffside Park in that first inning, but came away with 2 runs. They took a 2-0 lead, but then Fort Lee answered immediately in their first at-bats in the bottom of the first. put up a 4 spot. They've added one more to that total, and it's now a 5-2 advantage for the home side. Ground ball trickled off the glove of Shulman. She was the only one who could make that play. And that's going to lead to an infield single for Raptopoulos, who's now 2 for 2 in this game. 5th hit of the game for Cliffside Park. Shulman can make that play cleanly. She might have a shot at throwing her out, but once it deflected off the lip of her glove, there was no chance for her teammate to also get to it in time and throw over to get that out needed. That'll bring up Mattingly Rodriguez, the third baseman. Rodriguez had to double in her first at-bat. She's 1 for 1. Now 3 doubles in 2 games against Fort Lee pitchers here today this season. As she caroms that one into the backstop for a foul ball, 0-1. So she has certainly showed the propensity to go for extra bases against the Bridgmen this spring. Fort Lee trying to split, or a sweep, I should say, the season series. Cliffside Park once again looking for a split of the series after they did so last year. Throw down a second, not going to be in time. As the pinch runner who just came into the game for Cliffside Park was able to get in safely. So a runner down at second base with nobody out here in the third. Trying to go over to the third base side with the ground ball was Rodriguez, but hits it foul. Fort Lee a season ago went 7-12 overall. They're 6-8 this season. That is sent down the left field line. That's going to hook at a play foul. They've already met their season win total in divisional play from a season ago. They went 3-5 last year. They're 3-3 this year. Ground ball. Second baseman could not handle that. That's going to allow the runner to take the turn from third and score easily. Throw down a second, also not going to be in time. As Rodriguez will once again earn herself a double, this time an RBI double. She's got 4 doubles in 2 games against Fort Lee and produces the third run of the game for Cliffside Park. It's now a 5-3 lead for Fort Lee. Ashley Bustamante will step in. Bustamante had a ground out for an RBI back in the first inning. Pops that one into the glove of West at shortstop. Did a good job of ranging over after Shulman was kind of trying to play forward with that one defensively. That's the first out of the third inning on the pop-up to short. That brings up Veronica Correa. Correa with an RBI single back in her first plate appearance in the first inning. Takes that low pitch for a strike. 0-1. 5-3 lead now for Fort Lee as Cliffside Park bats here in the top of the third. 3 runs already on 6 hits in this game for the visitors. Time called before that pitch can officially be delivered. That was to the benefit of Yang, as that was looking like it was going to be low and outside the strike zone. Jenna Yang with 2 strikeouts in this game. Has been pitching more to contact in the early goings. Rounded down to Shulman. Shulman again with a looping throw, this time in time to retire Veronica Correa. Runner will move down to third base in the form of Mattingly Rodriguez, but there's 2 outs now in the inning. That'll bring up Amelia Moreno, the first baseman, who's 0 for 1, flew out to center field to end the first inning. She steps in to hit from the right side. Yang trying to limit the damage. Only 1 run in this inning for Cliffside Park. Off-speed pitch falls in for a strike, 0-1. Nice deceptive pitch that time again. Moreno was thinking fastball, got another off-speed pitch. Yang firing that one past her. Now jumps in front 0-2. With 2 outs, a runner down at third. 5-3 lead for Fort Lee pitching here in the top of the third. Swing and a miss. The bottom again falls out of that one. Castillo will throw down to first to complete the strikeout. That is going to be the third K of the afternoon for Jenna Yang, as she limits the damage to only 1 run on an RBI double by Mattingly Rodriguez, who's stranded down at third base. We head to the bottom of the third. 5-3 advantage for Fort Lee here on YouTube. Bottom of the third inning. Taylor Solis, the right fielder, drew a walk in her first plate appearance, leading things off for the Bridgmen here in the bottom of the third. And Irene Raftopoulos, who is the second pitcher in this game for Cliffside Park after Genevieve Diaz got the start to this one. Diaz was chased after not finding an out in that second inning. That one is just lofted easily into the glove of the shortstop, Bustamante. And the leadoff hitter is retired for Fort Lee to begin the bottom of the third. Brings up Ariana Papavasiliou, who added a 2-run double with the bases loaded in her first plate appearance back in the first inning, driving in a pair. She had the best contact of the game for any batter from each team. She smoked that one to straightaway center field that took one bounce off the turf and up and over the fencing. How's that piece off? That pitch taken high for a strike in the upper left-hand corner of home plate. Raftopoulos trying to retire the first 2 hitters that she faces to begin the third. Missing low and inside. Again, missing outside. Good eye of the plate there by the sophomore center fielder for Fort Lee. Swings and misses through that one. She was fooled that time. I think she was expecting fastball, got the off-speed instead, and was just a little bit early. Third strikeout of the game for Cliffside Park pitching. And there's 2 away with no one on base. Brings up the 9th place hitter, Paige Eno. Eno 0 for 1, grounded back to the pitcher to end the first inning, getting her first chance here in the third. Eno was the one who manufactured the walk-off victory against Hackensack here at home a couple of weeks ago. That was a thrilling come-from-behind victory for Coach Straub's Bridgman, after they were trailing late in that game by 4 runs heading into the bottom of the 6th. Swing and a miss. Violent swing there that came away empty by Eno, getting the start in left field. Just missing on the outer edge of the plate. Full counts against Page with Jamie West lurking on deck, the top of the order. And Eno will take that one a little too high. That's going to be ball 4. So Page Eno will draw a 2-out walk, become a base runner here for Fort Lee in the bottom of the 3rd inning. That is the 5th walk of the game for Cliffside Park pitching. Brings up Jamie West. West flew out to center field back in the 1st inning, drew a walk her last time up in the 2nd, and eventually came around to score. There's West again, setting that one on a line drive. That's going to take a hit off the basing of the fence. That's going to send Eno down to 3rd base, and West will rumble into 2nd base with extra bases of her own. West was so close, a little more elevation. She could have had a line drive home run. But Jamie West collects her first hit of the day, a 2-out double here in the 3rd. And Fort Lee now threatening with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs. Third double of the game for Fort Lee hitters. Brings up Jenna Yang. Yang had one of those doubles as well. Had an RBI doubler last time up in the 2nd inning. That drove in Jamie West. For Jamie West, she is a stud softball player. Again, only a freshman. She's been starting in the beginning of the season. Because of an injury, she really couldn't be a hitter. So she just played primarily defense at shortstop. But now that she feels healthy and is able to swing the bat, you could see the talent on full display. She has been impressive. Jenna Yang has popped up. It's going to be trouble. Shallow center field. It's going to fall for a hit. That's going to plate home 2 more runs for Fort Lee. And after having no one on base with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd, again, Fort Lee with a flair for the dramatic 2-out run production. That time on a looping single by Jenna Yang that drives in a pair. She's got 3 RBIs here today. A 7-3 lead for Fort Lee. Just when Cliffside Park was thinking they maybe could be in contention for a quick inning, now this inning continues and a base hit by Olivia Hausman to left field. The last 4 base runners have gotten on safely here for Fort Lee. They're up to 6 hits in this game. Again, it started off with a pop out, then a strikeout swinging, followed by Paige Eno's good eye at the plate that drew a walk, brought up the top of the order, and Jamie West, Jenna Yang, and Olivia Hausman all have connected on hits, and the hit parade continues for Avalee Castillo. That'll drive in Jenna Yang with another run in the inning for Fort Lee. They put up a 3 spot here in the bottom of the 3rd and stretch their lead over Cliffside Park to 8-3. That one is popped into the top of the cage for a foul ball after Emma Schulman was trying to go to opposite field. Schulman had an RBI single back in the 1st inning, struck out swinging in the 2nd. That one is dribbled to home plate, handled by the catcher Correa. Fort Lee scored 11 runs in the first meeting against Cliffside Park. They've already put up 8 runs through the first 3 innings here on the board against the Red Raiders. They're looking for more. Here's a pop-up in the infield, that time ranging over to make the play, the second baseman Gomez for the 3rd and final out of the inning, but all with 2 outs in the inning. Fort Lee adds to their lead, 3 more runs. A 2-run single by Jenna Yang, then an RBI single by Avalee Castillo. And Fort Lee on top by a score of 8-3 as we head to the 4th inning. Genevieve Diaz will lead things off for Cliffside Park. Now facing a 5-run deficit here today, 8-3. The lead for Fort Lee. Cliffside Park has scored twice in the first, once in the third. Fort Lee has scored in every inning so far. 4 runs in the first, 1 run in the second, 3 more there in the third to stretch their advantage to 5. Diaz is 0 for 1 this afternoon, struck out swinging back in the second inning. Yang trying to throw strikes after her team has propelled the offense now to a 5-run margin in this game. That has popped up, ranging back to make the easy play at short is West for the first out of the inning. One out with nobody on for Aguilar. And Ayeli Aguilar, the left fielder, drew a walk in her first plate appearance in the second inning. Yang gets a strike in the outer edge. Yang has given up 3 runs on 6 hits in this game, has struck out 3 and walked only 1. That rise ball outside and high. It's now 1-1. That one is flared to right field, and that will fall for a base hit. So Aguilar took that the other way and deposited that one into shallow right field for the base hit. 7th hit of the game for Cliffside Park. They have a 1-out base runner here to begin the top of the 4th inning. That'll bring up the 9th place hitter, Charlene Cepeda. Cepeda is 1 for 1, had a base hit, a single in the second. Strike in the outside corner. 0-1 the count against the 9th place hitter with Victoria Spada in the top of the Cliffside Park order due up next. Swing and a miss. Nice pitch there. That dropped a couple of levels after it started at the middle of the plate and then broke down around the kneecaps. Now 2 strikes against Cepeda. Swing and a miss. That's going to be a strikeout. Are they going to say that that pitch did get away from the catcher, so she does not have to throw down a first base? Looks like that's the case, and they're going to move that lead runner down to second base. Kind of interesting there. And they did not force Castillo to throw down to first to complete that strikeout. So that'll bring it up to Victoria Spada, the center fielder, who's 0 for 2 today. Struck out swinging in the first, grounded out back to the pitcher Yang in the second. Runner down at second with 2 outs in the inning. Softly hit, down to the second baseman. Plout will throw over to Hausman in time for the 3rd out of the inning. And a runner is left stranded on base. So no runs in the inning for Cliffside Park. Another 0 put up on the board for Jenna Yang. We head to the bottom of the 4th. It remains an 8-3 advantage for Fort Lee as you're watching Fort Lee softball here on YouTube. Bottom of the fourth inning, Fort Lee on top of their arch rivals Cliffside Park by a score of 8-3. Bella Plout will lead things off for the Bridgemen. Bella drew a walk back in the first inning, grounded out to short in the second. 0 for 1 this afternoon. Another inning of work for Irene Raftopoulos in the pitching circle. Fort Lee scoring 4 runs in the first, 1 in the second, 3 more in the third. They've scored in every inning so far in this contest. Looking for what would be their third home win of the season. They went 2-3 so far this year here at home. A season ago, they finished 4-4 at home. Plout with a comebacker back to the pitcher. Raftopoulos was easily there to field it. Throw over for the first out. Taylor Chisolis, right fielder, 0 for 1 with a walk. Little step in from the right side. First ball swinging, grinds that one off the glove of the shortstop, and she's going to reach base safely. Second time she's on base, first time with a base hit here in this game. 8th hit of the afternoon for the home side of Fort Lee, and now they have a 1-out base runner. That'll bring up the center fielder, Ariana Papavasiliou. Had the 2-run double back in the first inning, struck out swinging her last time up in the third, 1 for 2. Low pitch. That's going to allow the base runner to take her chance down to second. She gets in, sliding safely. So Taylor Saholis getting in safely. She's down in scoring position now for Papavasiliou. Couple times in this game, pitches have gotten away from the catcher that have allowed base runners to take extra bases for Fort Lee on offense. Rise ball rises a little too high and outside the zone. 3-1 the count in favor of the sophomore center fielder. That was also too high and outside. It's now going to be ball 4. Walk number 6 for Fort Lee hitters here this afternoon. Runners at first and second with only 1 away in the bottom of the 4th inning. Fort Lee already enjoying an 8-3 advantage, trying to grow that lead here. Paige Eno stepping in from the left side. Eno drew a walker last time up in the third, also grounded back to the pitcher to end the first inning. She's 0 for 1. Eno's 2-out walk really got that third inning going for the offense. Allowed Fort Lee to flip the lineup, get to the top of the order. And then West, Yang, Hausman, and Castillo all followed suit with 4 consecutive hits. Laying off that high pitch. A couple of these rise balls have just not been able to convince the Fort Lee hitters to try to chase after them. That time more belt level high for a strike. 3-1 the count against Eno again with the dangerous Jamie West waiting on deck for Fort Lee. Runners at first and second, 1 away in this inning. Eno with a check swing, and that's going to make its way all the way down to left field. It's going to be bobbled there by Aguilar. That's going to allow a run to score, and another run following right behind. The throw down to third base is going to be in time. So that time Eno was trying to stretch that to a triple, but it was initially a misplay by the left fielder, who then was struggling to get the ball back into the infield. That allowed not only 1 but 2 runs to score for Fort Lee. Now the Bridgemen have staked themselves to a 10-3 advantage. They've scored at least 1 run in all 4 innings that we have played so far, And it's back to the top of the order for Jamie West. West had a double her last time up in the third, a line drive that nearly found its way over the center field wall. West flew out the first pitch that she saw to begin this game to center field. Back in the first inning, drew a walk in the second, came around to score, and West had a double and came around to score on the two-run single by Jenna Yang in the third. As she lays off that pitch in the dirt. That one is sent to center field, ranging over in front of us to make the play as Espada for the third and final out of the inning. But yet another inning that has seen the Fort Lee offense come to life as they played home two more runs, courtesy of Paige Eno's 2 runs after being thrown out trying to advance down to third. We head to the top of the fifth, 10-3 lead for Fort Lee as they're closing in on a sweep of the season series against Cliffside Park. Top of the fifth inning as Jenna Yang with more runs to work with now has seen her team's advantage swell to 10-3. Raftopoulos is leading things off, hitting from the right side for Cliffside Park. Taking that one for a strike. Raftopoulos with a pair of singles in this game, 2 for 2. Started the game off as the designated player, came on to pitch in relief, just as she did back in the first meeting. Check swing, and that pops up into the glove of Hausman down at first base. And the leadoff hitter is retired to begin the top of the fifth. One away. Brings up Mattingly Rodriguez, the third baseman, who's 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles. She has now produced 4 doubles in 2 games against Fort Lee this season. Rodriguez, who's arguably the best hitter in this lineup for Cliffside Park this season. Grounds that one right down to Hausman, and that's easy work. First 2 outs procured by the junior first baseman. And the 2 players that were 2 for 2 in this game now with their first outs. And there's 2 outs with nobody on base. Brings up Ashley Bustamante, the shortstop. Bustamante 0 for 2 with an RBI in this game. She had an RBI ground out back in the first inning, popped up to the shortstop back in the third. Jenna Yang looking for what would be her first 1-2-3 inning of this afternoon. Missing the outside on that pitch. Yang has given up 3 runs on 7 hits in this one. 4 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Ground ball down to Schulman. Schulman will throw it over in time, and it's a quick, in the blink of an eye, 1-2-3 inning. A couple of ground outs and a pop-up, and Yang quickly gets done with Cliffside Park. We head to the bottom of the fifth. It's been all Fort Lee here at home, 10-3. Bottom of the fifth inning as now Fort Lee once again trying to get to work. Jenna Yang will lead things off for the Bridgemen here in the bottom of the fifth. Fort Lee has scored in each of the first 4 innings of work here today. They've put up a 10 spot on the board. They scored 11 runs in the first meeting, an 11-7 win back in April on the road at Cliffside Park. So trying to match that mark here today, as they're trying to zero in on what would be their 4th divisional win of the season. Last time that we saw them on the air, they exploded for 18 runs here at home against Dwight Morrow, as Raftopoulos missing low on that pitch. Jenna Yang has had a great afternoon. 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs, had an RBI double back in the second inning, had a 2-run singler last time up, and she'll add to that hit parade with another hit. It's a 3-hit afternoon for Jenna Yang, as she singled right up the middle. Fort Lee trying to get their 7th win of the season. That would match their win total from a season ago when they finished 7-12 overall. A win here today would also give them more divisional wins in the Big North American Division than they had all of last season, when they went 3-5 in league play. They finished 4th overall in the American Division. Right now, coming into play today, they would be 3rd behind Ridgefield Park and Dumont. There's a pop-up that caroms over the top of the cage and to the back and out of play for Olivia Hausman. Hausman 1 for 2 with a walk here this afternoon. Flew out to center field in her first plate appearance in the first, drew a walk in the second, had a singler last time up. We'll pop that one out. Down to Rodriguez at third. Brings up Avalie Castillo. Castillo will take it low and inside for a ball, 1-0. Castillo was the one who reached safely on the throwing error that allowed the first run of the day. Cliffside Park had led in that point of the game back in the bottom of the first inning, 2-0, and had a chance to get out of the inning still with a 2-run lead. Instead, a throwing error allowed Castillo to reach and allowed that first run to score. 3 more would eventually score in that inning for Fort Lee, and they have never looked back since. Castillo had an RBI singler last time up in the third, also grounded out to third base back in the second. All these pitches well outside the zone, that eventually will lead to the walk. So now Fort Lee with runners at first and second and only 1 out here in the bottom of the fifth. 7th walk of the game now for Cliffside Park pitchers. It'll bring up Emma Schulman. Schulman is 1 for 3 with an RBI back in the first inning. Schulman rakes that one into left field for the base hit. Jenna Yang will make the turn. RBI single for Emma Schulman, her second RBI of the afternoon. She's now 2 for 4 in this game. And for the 5th straight inning, Fort Lee has put a run on the board. (11-3), the lead now for Fort Lee, with runners still at first and second and only 1 out. As that's missed inside for a ball. 1-0. Raftopoulos now losing her control a bit, also missing high. 3-1 the count. A swing and a miss there that time. Was trying to go for the downs. And that's taken outside for ball 4. So Fort Lee continues to venture on in this inning. Bases will be loaded full of Bridgman. Bases loaded here full of Bridgman. 11-3 lead, so that means 2 more runs scored here by Fort Lee would end this in mercy rule effect as we're batting here in the bottom of the 5th inning. There's a strike in the outer edge. Taylor Solis had a singler last time up in the 4th. Popped up to short in the 3rd, drew a walk in the 1st. She's been on base twice in this game. Emma Schulman just drove in a run with an RBI single. There's going to be a base hit. That's going to bring in 2 runs. That should end the ball game as it rolls for a ground rule double. Outside of center field, it is a 13-3 lead for Fort Lee. Another extra base hit in this game for Fort Lee, and that has signaled the end of this one. So in this rivalry showdown, it once again goes the way of Fort Lee in mercy rule effect. In 5 innings, the final score, Fort Lee 13 and Cliffside Park 3. With the defeats, Cliffside Park will fall to 6-13 on the season, 2-5 in league play. And with the win, Fort Lee improves to 7-8 on the season and 4-3 in Big North American Division action. Coming up for Cliffside Park, their next game, they will play host to the top team in the league in Ridgefield Park. And for Fort Lee, their next time out, they will travel to Saddlebrook tomorrow on the road. They'll next be back home on Wednesday against Paramus Catholic. Our next broadcast will come next Monday, as Fort Lee will be playing host to Dumont in another Big North American Division softball showdown. So that'll do it for our broadcast coverage here of Fort Lee softball. Thanks so much for tuning in here on YouTube. And join us again later on this spring. Again, your final score, Fort Lee 13, Cliffside Park 3. Take care, everybody.